Chapter 6. Stan ran back across the waste ground, through the terrace streets and up Fish Quay Lane towards home. The daft van passed by, but he didn't notice it. He was entranced by his fish, obsessed by his fish. He slipped in through the door and went to find an empty bucket. Then he filled it full of lovely clear water and slipped his lovely goldfish into it one by one. There they were, 13 beautiful, miraculous creatures, swimming together and free before his eyes. His uncle was already back at work. The machines were booming and banging and clashing louder than ever. Ernie was yelling louder than ever. Stan lifted the bucket of fish. "Don't worry about the noise," he whispered to them. "It's just my Uncle Ernie. I'll look after you forever and ever and ever." Stan, get here, lad." Stan turned. "But Uncle Ernie," he started. "Never mind, but Uncle Ernie. Get here, lad." Ernie waved him forward. "There's a crisis," he said. "A bloomin' great, huge, massive catastrophe." Stan shuffled slowly towards him. "But Uncle Ernie," he said. "We're under attack and all you can say is, 'But Uncle Ernie.' Get here, pull that lever, switch that switch, grease that blinking engine." He caught sight of the fish. "What's them?" Stan realised he was still carrying the bucket. "They're goldfish," he said. "I won them at the fair. I won that little one with your birthday money, Uncle Ernie." Ernie curled his lip. "Huh," he said. "Scrawny little things." "But look," said Stan. He held them towards his uncle so he could see their loveliness for himself. Ernie squinted at them, then dipped his finger into the water. "Goldfish," he grunted at last. "What good's goldfish to a man like me? Pilchards is the fish that matter. Pilchards and haddock and cod and—" He lowered his hand further into the water and the goldfish swam around it. "See," said Stan. "Aren't they just lovely?" Ernie gazed down, pondering. He felt the fins and the tails of the little fish as they flickered past his fingers. "Thanks for the £10, Uncle Ernie," said Stan. Then he said a thing that he'd regret forever after. "If you hadn't given me that, the fish would—" "Would what?" asked Ernie. "Would have died. There was this man who hung them up on—" Ernie's eyes went all dreamy. Then he came back to his senses. "Enough," he said. "We're living through a time of tests and trials and tribulations. There's work to be done and action to be took. Get these silly creatures out of my sight and get to bloomin' work now." Stan ran to his cupboard and put the fish down. He ran back to the machines and rolled up his sleeves. He was happier than he'd been for weeks. He'd had time off. He'd been to the fair. He'd won the most brilliant of prizes. Right, what should I do? Stand there, that's right. Turn that, that's right. Push that, that's right. That's the way to do it. Faster, lad. Faster, faster. They won't put a stop to it. Oh no, they won't ruin the dreams of Ernest Potts. "Who won't, Uncle Ernie?" asked Stan, as he pushed and pulled and swiveled and turned. "Never mind that," said Ernie. "I'll deal with them. You just concentrate on your work, lad. Faster, faster. That's right. Fish, 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 fish. Machine, 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 machine. That's the way to get it done." And they worked together and sang together. Fish in buckets, fish in bins. Crop off their heads and tails and fins. Their voices blended with the noise of the machines. Their movements blended with the movement of the machines. And fish poured in at one end and tins poured out at the other. And in the fury of the work, Stan and his uncle forgot all their troubles. And after a time, Ernie yelled, "Are you enjoying it, lad? Are you having a great time?" Stan laughed and gave him a thumbs up. "Yes, Uncle Ernie, yes," he yelled. "Great," said Ernie. "This is work, son, proper work. Your dad would have been proud of you. This is what it's all about." And they hooted with laughter and they worked and they sang and were filled with a strange kind of joy. And they were making such a din, they didn't notice Annie coming in. Annie had a party tea in her shopping bag. Cheese straws, sausage rolls, lemonade, chocolate tea cakes and a cake with happy birthday iced on it. and a bag of candles. She pulled a few pallets together for a table. She used fish tin labels as napkins. She set up upside-down buckets as chairs. She laid the birthday tea out, and it looked so lovely. The loveliest thing there had been in this house since the canning began. She smiled in satisfaction. Then she went to the central control panel, found the enormous lever with the master switch written on it, reached up and pulled it down. The machines came to a sudden stop. "Sabotage!" yelled Ernie. "Get ready to fight back. They won't." "It isn't sabotage," said Annie calmly. "It's tea time." "Tea time," said Ernie. "Don't you realise we're living through a time of our nephew's birthday," Annie said. "So take a break and come for tea." Ernie glared, spluttered, gasped, "But there's—" Annie went over to him and kissed his cheek. "This is special," she said, "so pipe down for once." Sam detached himself from his machine. Half in a daze, he walked towards the lovely things laid out on the pallets. Annie clapped her hands. "This is our nephew, Stan," she said to her husband, "and he is rather more important than our fish." "I've got fish of me own now, Auntie Anne," said Stan. He showed her his goldfish and told her the story of how he got them. "Oh, they're gorgeous," said Annie. "They're the most beautiful fish in the whole wide world." Stan put the bucket by the pallets as they ate. They kept looking down at the goldfish and praising them. All except Ernie, of course, who couldn't eat at all. The memory of the investigator's visit rushed and rolled and rocked through his brain. "Calm down, Ernie," Annie kept saying. "Calm down. Eat some cake." But he couldn't calm down. The cake was like dust in his mouth. How could he tell his family about Clarence P. Clapp? How could he face up to the catastrophe? He clenched his fists tight. He needed a plot, a plan. The goldfish flickered and flashed below him. He dipped his hand into the bucket and felt their tiny tails and fins against his fingers. "We need a new line," he declared. "A what?" "We've got to move on from pilchards and cods." "Move on to what?" said Annie. "And why?" "'Cause we're under attack," said Ernie. Annie shook her head. "What on earth are you on about, love?" Suddenly there was a hammering on the front door, then silence. "What's that?" said Ernie. She got up and headed to the door. "Don't go!" yelled Ernie. "Don't let them in." "Don't let who in?" "Them," said Ernie. "Who?" said Annie. She opened the door. There was nobody there, just a white van driving quickly away. Then she saw it, a notice nailed to the door. Daft. "Department for the Abolition of Fishy Things. First, last and final warning. It is hereby declared this 32nd day of June that a madman, known as Mr. Silent, has been discovered to be up to fishy stuff in his dwelling at 69 Fish Key Lane, and therefore that the madman and his family, if any, is hereby served with the first, last and final warning. All fishy stuff must stop immediately. Otherwise, all fishy paraphernalia, i.e. machines, engines, cables, pipes and all the other stuff I've seen, will be forcibly removed. Plus the said family will be evicted, i.e. hoyed out on the street. Signed, Clarence P. Clapp, Investigator, 1st grade, 7 stars, 2 pips. P.S. This is not a joke. P.P.S. Beware. The investigator will return without any warning. You has been warned. Got a fishy neighbour? Call 0191 876 5432. We will sort them out." And we're going to stop there, ready to go on to chapter 8 next time.